the dark, I made my dream. Permaculture flows like sweet streams. I'm the daddy with the know-how seed. Creating the world like it's meant to be. Permaculture, P-I-M-P, I'm the king. That's love in everything. Bringing change, making it last. Join the permaculture.
Welcome to episode 358 of the Permaculture Pimpcast, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion. The only Pimpcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, practical living, and sometimes prostitutes.
Permaculture, P-I-M-P, with soulful rays. In the P-I-Pimpcast, where we find our place.
Oh yeah, good to be here with y'all. Episode 358, boy, we are moving along. And folks, I did not set it up yesterday to be episode 357 on, you know, such an awful day. So I mean, that was, I can't even believe somebody would even suggest that. Look, y'all, I didn't put them in order and I didn't make them happen on these certain days. So I'm sure the people that are complaining about that, you just have to get loose or get lost, because I mean, really, did I know what was going to happen yesterday happen? So anyway, we'll come to that in a minute. This episode, as always, brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from TwoOldCrowsHomestead.com.
Turn that simp into a pimp.
Bam! Soil Saviors. Yeah, that's how we are cleaning up Western North Carolina. You can get some too. We got a link for it down below, and Renewed Homestead's using it right now. Ken and Amy, they're using it right now, and that's Mountainside with Ken and Amy. And a number of others are doing it as well. So give it a little bit of time, and you are going to see the magic happen. Wow.
I just did too.
Well, what's that, son?
I just applied that Soil Savior stuff to the gardens too.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah. You are also checking it out too. We got one from Brenda Baldwin. Son, can you read that? Because I can't read a whole lot with these glasses on, when it's green.
It's Brenda Bodwin. Got it on, listening, but I'm driving for tacos, so not chatting until I get parked. Now, if I remember correctly, you were also the one doing the voice messages while you were driving.
Yeah, I want to give a hat tip to everybody here in the live tonight. Andy, Renewed Homestead, my man Bill Zegley over there. Let's see here. Corey, I can make out some of these names with.
Whoa. All right. I guess Dad just disappeared, but he was shouting everybody out. Carrie Robertson, Andy Pearson, Colleen Bowman. Shout out to all y'all. Vernon Schwartz, listening while working. Mountainside with Ken and Amy. Yo, I have no idea what happened to Dad, but he just got zapped off the internet. Crap, I've never done one of these shows by myself, so I guess we're gonna see how it goes until Dad gets back on. So typically he starts off with these farm news at the beginning of the show, so I guess I can get into the farm news until he gets back. Oh, here he is. He's back now.
And I'm calling from my tech support over here. Honey, sit down for a minute. Say hi to everybody. I was calling for my tech support, and lo and behold, she arrived. Not at all too late. Tell it.
I was about to get into farm news. I didn't know how long you were going to be gone, if this was a permanent thing or a temporary. Hey, Mom.
They must know what we're going to talk about tonight, and they decided to go ahead and cut the feed. I mean, for crying out loud. I mean, man, I didn't even get into it yet.
What happened?
It just went blank. And then next thing I know, I'm like, here I am. So, hey, tell everybody what's up, honey.
I'm about to go out and take care of the lambs. That's what's up.
Yeah, not the best color commentator for nothing, y'all.
I got stuff to do. That's what's up.
Mom, just so you know, what happened was that Dad was in the middle of talking, and then all of a sudden his feed just goes out. Like, he wasn't even in the background of StreamYard. He was completely kicked out of everything. And he ain't even within reaching distance of the computer, so he didn't do anything.
Yeah, that's my first suspect is, what did he touch?
I guarantee she was going to say that. Yeah, what did you touch? There ain't nothing to touch. I'm sitting here doing a show. All right.
Have fun.
All right, go ahead and do your thing, Shaniqua Jr.
I won't fix your problems if you call me that.
Yeah. The whitest black lady ever. So yeah, that's another thing altogether. So anyway, glad to be back here with y'all. And I'm not going to mess around because we got a lot to cover. And ladies, you definitely look. If there was ever a show I think you need to tune into, it's going to be this one. Okay, it's an auspicious date, obviously 9/11, but we're going to be covering a lot of things. But right off the bat, we'll give you a little bit of overview. Well, son, before I kick it off, how's your tell everybody what you got going on Patreon with your PDC and how's it going?
Yeah, I've been doing an online permaculture design course over on Patreon. It's linked down, and I believe Mom said she started linking it in the podcast show notes, but it's also linked in all of my videos down in the description box. But it's an online permaculture design course. And what makes it different from other permaculture design courses is that I'm focusing on what's practical, what is actually used when consulting. And my whole goal is to educate people who want to grow on their own. You can get in for as little as $5. Like educate people who want to grow just on their property and they don't want to be fooling with anything else, all the way up to consultants and people who want to eventually become teachers. But unlike other design courses, instead of telling you to immediately go start teaching, I want to verify you know what you're talking about before you start consulting. And I want to build some consultants with like actual experience, because that's the fastest way to turn people off. One of the fastest ways to turn people off of permaculture is getting bad advice from people who have no experience and no understanding of how long it takes to maintain systems, install systems, things like that. So yeah, I'm excited. It's doing pretty doggone well. I'm started uploading chapter 3 today. Yeah, it's doing far better than I thought it would have. But thank you guys so much for everybody who joined in. Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, thanks a lot, Denise, for putting that in the notes over there. It's on the screen for anybody that's interested, and it'll be in the show notes down below. So all the people that keep writing to me, asking me, where do I go for a PDC? Look, I know my son's going to teach it right, and I'm not saying that other people don't, but unlike a lot of other people out there that are fancying themselves as I don't know, designers or whatever else, they don't have any practical experience. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that know the book knowledge, but maybe can't, you got the best of both worlds with what you're doing, son. They can watch your YouTube channel and you show them right there in plain sight, which, anybody can do. They can watch that for free, or then you want to get some real instruction. Folks, I'm telling you, the biggest money saver you will ever do is get a permaculture design. It is, look, I got a military education, trade education, college degree, and a farm education. And the best money I've ever spent on education has always been my farm education, without a doubt. So, folks, I'm definitely gonna give a hat tip to William for getting that going. So I'm proud of you, son. Always have
Thanks,
been,
Dad.
but man, you're really going out here, and it's not gonna be this stuff. I can't stand a PDC course where the ones teaching it have to put in their political philosophy. Look, I mean, this is coming from me. I get that. But in the middle of an instructional course where you're just trying to teach the beans and the bullets, and they get in here and they change up the curriculum because their political philosophy dictates that they do it. So I know he's not going to be doing that. And he's going to be showing you the things that work. And there's not some green washing slant to it from a bunch of people that are the, what do you call them, son? The purple
breathers.
Purple breathers.
Purple
Yeah.
breathers.
Yeah, the ones who are going to philosophically talk about all these wonderful things, but have no boots on the ground experience in doing any of it. So William knows how to do it all. So I'm excited to get over there and check it out myself. Maybe teach the old man a couple of things. So I'm willing to check that out. So I'm glad you got it off and running.
Thanks,
So
Dad.
what I'm doing here is, folks, I keep saying it all the time, but please, after you made that compost pile, you got to manage it. If you don't get it out there, if you don't put it out there, if you're going to leave it for a while, you have got to make sure your moisture is right. Son, where should that moisture be when you have a finished compost pile? Because people are going to want to know.
50% is perfect, but like determining 50% without knowing how can be kind of like nebulous. Like you're just guessing. So the best way to determine 50% moisture is to take a handful. If you're watching on video, you can see me demonstrate this. You take a handful of the compost, squeeze it together, and you should have 1 drop of water form and fall from that pile. And that is perfect 50% moisture content within your compost pile.
Now, when you're messing with vermicompost, you're going to want it as high as 70. So it's going to be a little bit, I mean, the worms are going to like it wetter. fish like it better. Down where it's wetter. Take it from me. Under the sea. Under the sea. You remember me singing that to you when you were a little, son?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you were a little too. That was a Little Mermaid, man. So anyway, yeah, I'm just keeping it real, y'all. That's how we roll around her. Anyway, we got the sheep up on the mountain. They're doing their thing right now. And man, they are really doing an awesome job. And people have asked, well, why don't you run cows out there? It just doesn't make sense in this environment. That's the quickest way in this environment. When you're dealing with serious slopes like this, yeah, you can get some Dexters and stuff out there that can absolutely manage the steepness of it. But at the same time, good luck trying to keep an orchard up in that mountain. So I got to use animals that make sense here. So, you know, you reach out to somebody that maybe has cows like Ben and Denise over at Renewed Homestead, and then you make trades or you make deals, you do whatever. I mean, you know, so maybe we give them honey, maybe we get something from them, folks. Or another little thing that we have going on. Okay, so they need a ram. Well, I got 4 of them right now. One of them's got to go to this former Marine Corps pilot. And the other ones, I mean, they're at least going to get 1. If they want 2 of them, knock yourself out, because I was just going to give them away anyway. You know, there's so many different ways where you don't have to have and son, isn't that part of the old permaculture? Isn't that what you're going to learn? That you don't have to grow everything? That if you're able to have community groups of people you trust, isn't that a good way of going about this?
Yeah, one thing you should definitely learn within a permaculture design course is that you can't grow everything. You have to also do an energy audit. Like, look at how much energy from your own body is going to require to grow everything, or a very, very drastic limitation to your diet. That's a possibility. If you want to grow everything that you eat, very, very drastic change in your diet, or you build community, which I'd rather build community than have that drastic of a change in your diet. Now, on a permaculture design course, William Zegley said, so William, will the joiners to your class be pimpettes? You'll be full-blown pimps by the end of it.
Bam. Permaculture is my passion. So there we go. Other things we got going on around here. We got that defunct greenhouse over there, but it works as a solar kiln. That was William's idea, and it works great. So even some of that wetter wood that maybe wouldn't be suitable for a year, it's amazing how quickly you can dry that stuff out. So be thinking, for those of you that use wood heat, and in our house, we can heat pretty much the whole thing. Actually, anybody in the upstairs, boy, you're going to burn up in this place under the right or wrong conditions. So even in the coldest winter days, I mean, we may have that thing cooking, but think about that stuff now. You should have been thinking about it a while ago, but if you're late, you know, think about maybe doing a solar kiln and drying out that wood, because it's you never want to put wet wood in your, you know, you don't want to be burning that stuff if you can. So look, there's a lot of other things going on around here, but I want to actually so many people were asking what I thought about this and that. If you've been on Twitter today, you've seen that I've been pretty active, way more than ordinarily I would be, for really a few reasons. Number one, okay, it's 9/11. Okay. Obviously, there was a tragedy that happened yesterday, and not just with Charlie Kirk. I mean, you know, we got that you know, bombing in Qatar and all the other things that are going on throughout the world. Yeah, it's an awful thing that happened to Charlie Kirk. And I mean, folks, I'm just going to be honest with you, because I don't know how to be anything else. I'm just going to tell you what I think, and we'll just maybe go back and forth. You know, with every single high profile whatever that goes down, and we're going to talk about in the main topic, the lady on the train. It may not be what you think it is, and believe me, I got the goods on this stuff. So Charlie Kirk, let's think about this first of all. So you got the New York Times and the LA Times 19 hours before this happened. They were already reporting his death 19 hours prior. And they're already trying to scrub that information off the internet. I mean, there was a lady right there, black and white, showing it. Okay. That's a bit suspicious. Okay. 1 a.m. Benjamin Netanyahu is reporting. He was the first one 20 minutes after this happened, reporting that he was dead. From all of us who were, you know, watching this sort of thing unfold, when I first saw the footage, I knew right then and there, having spilled a lot of blood in my life, I knew there was absolutely no way he survives this thing. I was praying that a miracle would unfold, because who wants to see that sort of thing? I mean, the man had a wife and kids and the whole 9 yards. When you see something unfold like that, if you spilled enough blood in your life, especially when you're processing animals, and for example, I'm not trying to get too graphic here, but folks, I'll be as genteel as I possibly can. The solemnity of the occasion dictates that I do so. There are ways in which we process sheep and pigs and you name it. I mean, there's a whole lot of critters I've processed. And when you hit that certain part of the neck, the lights go out immediately. The blood pressure is so great in your body that bam, the lights go out immediately. That's why you turn a chicken upside down, before you do the job, ideally. And all the flinching you see afterwards is just, it's compulsory. So you knew right then and there it was going to be a bad day. Now, the official story they're telling me, and I was going back and forth with Denise today. We're kind of comparing notes all the way throughout this. So here's where the story is right now. It went from what I thought was going to be a Lee Harvey Oswald thing to now it's James Earl Ray, because they just found the abandoned gun, okay? Supposedly the guy carved all this stuff in there, man. When it seems fantastical, folks, you got to start raising eyebrows. So let me get this right. And I even wrote it like this on Twitter. I might have wrote this to Denise too. So let me get this right. The dude pulled the trigger, set up an old timer as a patsy, did a Spider-Man. This is a trans-testicle we're talking about. Supposedly did a Spider-Man maneuver off the side of the building while on estrogen patches and escaped without detection. Sound like a lot of coincidences to you, son?
Yeah. Also, the gun that they recovered apparently was a 30. It was chambered in 30-06. Anybody who's seen anybody who shot anything with the 30-06 or the ballistics gel, or just you see the cavitation afterwards on a 30-06, that is far too small of a wound channel for it to be a 30-06, especially in the neck,
especially on the exit. Because there wouldn't be anything. You shoot something with a 30-06, trust me, there is nothing. I'm talking like a full size, whatever, elk, deer, whatever. Anybody that's ever shot something with a 30-06, you realize that the whole backside of that thing is obliterated, is gone. I mean, it's not just, and that's why I prefer not. I mean, when we're processing animals, I try to use as low a caliber as possible, and I try to get a headshot, and then I cut the carotid. Look, folks, I'm not trying to be nasty here. I'm just telling you the deal. You do that because if it weighs, it pays in the butcher's trade. Okay. So every time, that's why usually most hunters, when they hunt a deer or something like it, when you take that lung heart shot, you know that the front quarters of those animals, especially if you're using an 06, it's going to be obliterated. That's why you turn everything that's why people teach people to turn everything on the front side of that animal into what, son?
What do you mean?
Well,
it's a grind.
Yeah, in the grind. Yeah, sorry, I didn't set you up well that way. Everything, and okay, so they're saying, okay, Denise is saying they're saying it ricocheted off a bulletproof vest. Okay, first of all, bulletproof vest ain't stopping no 06. Ask me how I know, because we've actually done it. We've actually taken a bulletproof vest. We shot it with everything from 22, 9mm, and I'm talking at close range. We shot it with, I'll tell you what, it didn't stop. Didn't stop a shotgun slug. Didn't stop it. And definitely didn't stop an 06. It didn't even stop an AR. So anybody that's coming up with that is, I mean, it's insane.
Even if he had like level 4 plates or something like that, they're saying that. So, okay, a couple of different things. Got shot. The angle he would have had to, the shooter would have had to have been at for it to ricochet up into, they're saying that it came in from this side, came over, and ricocheted up into his neck. This is like another magic bullet situation.
Yeah.
But also the angle of the sniper, he would have had to have been either like this, pointing up at him for it to ricochet off the face of the plate up into his neck. But then one thing that, doesn't make any sense is that you don't see any follow through on the background behind him. He had that banner behind him. You see nothing hit that.
It would have been
and then
blood
you don't
splatter.
see any. There would have been blood splatter or just like the impact of the round hitting whatever was behind him, or a hole, depending on how fast it would have been going at that time. But you also don't see any like spalding from it hitting that plate, whether it was ceramic or steel. You don't see any spalding. Which is he using? Like, it just, none of this is making sense.
Well, here's another thing that doesn't make sense. Okay. So imagine for a moment, folks, except for the people driving right now, imagine if you were to close your eyes and imagine you're in that audience. Okay. And you don't have to be an experienced shooter or anything like that. You hear a gunshot go off, you know whether it was close or far away. So how is it they nab some senior citizen that's like a parent? And here's how I know he was close to the stage, because if you look at them walking him out, if they didn't already scrub that video, if you look at them walking him out, they walked him away from relatively close from the stage. And then ultimately they had to wind up, they carried him out of there and then put him in the paddy wagon. So if you were in that crowd and a bullet went off right there in that crowd, there is no doubt you would have known that weapon was fired in close proximity to you. Clearly, I don't know what happened. All I know is, like every single thing else, just like, okay, that brings me to 9/11. Everything they tell you is a manufactured lie. In fact, these people lie so much, folks, I don't even know how much of the footage I actually believe. Because when you go to any event, how many people are sitting there holding their phones? But I've only seen 3 angles of this thing. How is that possible? So I'm questioning everything I'm being told. I'm not saying he didn't die. I'm just saying there's some funny things that look a little bit odd about this video. There's a lot of things about this so-called shooter, and I'm not believing for a minute. And then there's also a lot of suspicion as to who actually did it. But when you get down to brass tacks on this, folks, here's what I want to tell you. And I wrote it yesterday. I made a prediction yesterday, and man, I hope and pray I'm wrong. But remember what I said, what 2025 is going to be like. Now, what I wrote was, and I'm just going to kind of loosely, when I write things on Twitter, I put a little more, I make sure my grammar's right and stuff like that. At least I try to, but I'm usually talking into the phone as I'm, making a post or whatever. So if the syntax is a little bit off, you understand the reasons why. But essentially what I said was, I predict they're going to use this whole thing with Charlie Kirk and turn him into Crispus Attucks, or, God forbid, Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Now, what was the significance of Crispus Attucks? Do you remember, son?
Was it the beginning of the Revolutionary War?
Bam. Most people don't. See, man, I did a good job at that homeschool. Because I know you didn't learn that in school.
No.
Yeah, Crispus Attucks. It was a black dude, first one to die. It was heard around the world, and that was the kicking off the Revolutionary War. And then, if you know who Archduke Franz Ferdinand was, why don't you tell him who that was, son?
That's what kicked off World War One. It was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. And if you look at the map of why everybody got involved, it made no freaking sense.
No, there were interlocking alliances. Basically, I'll give you the long and short of it, folks. I'll basically break down about 6 different books on the very topic, and I'm going to give you the bare bone notes, and I'm going to show you how it applies to today. So, you had all these royal elite over there. If you look at the King of England at that time, and you look at the Tsar of Russia, put them side by side, they look like twins. Well, there's a reason for that. Because all of these interlocking alliances over there before World War I, they were all royalty. And so they all got together. And like I said, I'm distilling down, man. I'm really distilling down because there's a lot more to it, but I'm give you the cliff notes. Essentially, what you come down to is they realized they had way too many mouths to feed. And they got together and said, you know what? We got to trim the fat on this. And what they didn't expect was a Russian Revolution. At least I don't think they did. At least that's what the reliable history books talk about. So anyway, they said, okay, we got to trim the fat around here, man. Plus, these people are starting to get uppity. All right, man. let's go ahead and have a war. And if you think that hasn't happened numerous times throughout history, folks, you got another thing coming, because it has. So that brings me into what we got going on today. We got AI coming online. I mean, this is nothing more than a theory, but it wouldn't shock me if they were to use Charlie Kirk, and dreadfully, these type of things happen in threes. I'm not wishing for it. I'm hoping and praying I'm wrong. But and now you have all these social media people out there on the right and on the left. The people that are bought and paid for, if I were to say their names, you'd know exactly who I'm talking about. All of a sudden it seems as if, because as a permaculture designer, I'm an exceptional person. I've always was, but I can see patterns, and I always have been able to. And then with the backdrop of understanding of what I know about history, I'm seeing what looks to be them trying to foment some sort of tit for tat skirmish. And that's why I gave the example of Crispus Attucks. And then I gave the example also of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Hopefully I'm completely all wet on this, but man, I see all the parts and pieces being put together. We got a dollar that's about to collapse. We got a euro that's about to collapse. We got all these things across this world that are about to collapse. And you got Europe proactively seeking war with Russia, which is absolutely insane. So folks, if you think this is why I'm saying, this is why I've been saying, stay alert, stay alive. This is why when I predicted what's going to happen in 2025 and why you need to get your house in order, folks, this is what I'm talking about. This is the opening salvo. So we think of 9/11 as being some grandiose attack on two twin towers, or actually, oh, son, did I make a mistake there? No, I did. Because
missing one.
Yeah, actually 3 buildings went down in New York City. Nobody knows about Building 7 for some reason. I bet this audience does. Well, anyway, you got all this stuff unfolding right now, and we got a populace. We got a country that's broke. No hope, no soap, end of the rope kind of broke. And they need to trim the fat. So what that looks like, I don't know for sure, but this very well could be, it could be the impetus that kicks it off. Son, what do you think?
I think there's, okay, so looking at that girl with that Ukrainian girl, that Russian girl, whatever she was, the Ukrainian girl.
Hold off on that one, because that's going to be in the main topic, because there's something to be brought up about. Let's not get into that just yet.
Well, there's a connection between that and Charlie Kirk that I found.
Okay.
You want to still wait?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So if you look at the girl, that Ukrainian girl that got stabbed, you notice she bled out on the left side of her neck. You look at Charlie Kirk, he got shot in the left side of the neck. I don't know if there's any sort of ritual significance towards that, but it stands out that both of these injuries happened like a couple of days apart, both on the left side of the neck. I understand like there's a left-hand path and everything, but I don't know if there's any significance to, like, in these rituals, whenever you do a sacrifice, I don't know if there's any significance to slitting the left side of the neck. I wanted to be cautious even like searching that. I ain't trying to get flagged for nothing like that. I'm on enough lists. I don't need to add another one to the count. But yeah, if anybody knows anything out there, like any sort of ritual significance towards slicing the left side of the neck, well,
you might think a little
cautious, but let us know.
When you hear my take on that, you might think of it a little bit differently. But yeah, I do see your point. I absolutely see your point. Bill Zegley says my cousin was in number 7, so yes, I do. Yeah, that's, you look at Barry Jennings, the guy that came out of Building 7. Okay, I'll drift on over to 9/11 right now. Barry Jennings was a city planner for New York City. Openly admitted, like, hold on, bro, there was explosions all in the lobby. We got there, we couldn't even get down. Just check out Barry Jennings, 9/11 or Building 7, Barry Jennings, black dude. What would you say, son, if all of a sudden, he came up dead, missing? Yeah, nobody's ever heard from him again. And there's a whole lot of others affiliated or, that knew about a lot that was going on there, wasn't hit by a plane, and somehow fell as fast as a bowling ball. If you would have dropped, there was zero resistance. Zero. Folks, part of what I used to do in the Army was this kind of thing. I'm not going to go into any great detail, but Yeah, I got to be real careful about what I say regarding some of this stuff, but I know what I'm talking about when it comes to these things. And the official story was an impossibility. Oklahoma City was an impossibility. Ammonium nitrate, or ANFO, ammonium nitrate free flowing compound, cannot do to the Murrah building what they claim did, what happened there. You do that with C4. It can't be done. It can't be done with a cratering charge, which is exactly what ammonium nitrate is. It doesn't have a high enough detonating velocity to strip reinforced concrete. Okay. And that's what the Murrah building was. So my point being is that every single one of these disasters, nobody wants to talk about it, even though everybody says we will never forget. Yeah, all these sleazy politicians that put this out every 9/11, you will never forget. Well, you're not even trying to remember. And if you're still buying the official story, then you are willfully ignorant. I submit to you that you are absolutely willfully ignorant, because as I go back, William, you were just like 6 or 7 at the time when 9/11 happened.
I still remember it. I remember that day.
And the kids in your school didn't buy it, but everybody my age and the boomers, they were all believing it. And so was I for a time, until I had an opportunity to really examine what happened there. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a minute. This is impossible. And I have training in how to do such things. So, yeah. And you're not going to find a building, by the way, if you look at the towers on 9/11, it will not fall through the point of most resistance. And if it did, it ain't going to happen at free fall speed. That means that every supporting column had to disintegrate at the same time. Here's another little thing to consider on 9/11. So what we're taught in the background that I have is that for every 10 stories, it leaves 1 story of debris. So if you got a 10-story building, you're going to have 1 story of debris, right? Well, the World Trade Centers were 110 stories. Probably should have had 11 stories of debris. Folks, there wasn't enough debris down there to fill up the friggin' lobby. So it wasn't just, and the people that are in camps like, oh, it was a nuclear blast, which I don't at all believe, or it was standard demolition. I don't believe that either. Or it was directed energy weapons. I don't fully believe any of them. But you know what I think? To throw everybody off, they did all of them, not the nuclear thing. I think they did the directed energy. And I think if you read Dr. Judy Wood's book, Where Did the Towers Go?, I think you'll find out that I'm absolutely correct, because her information there is absolutely unimpeachable. And you've seen it since. You've seen it in the Palisades fire. You saw it in Maui. The same phenomenons that happened on 9/11, you saw in those different fires and a number of other places as well. Yes, we had that technology, and we've had it for a long, long time. That's why there wasn't enough. Think about it. It was the biggest office buildings in the world. There was not a single filing cabinet. Now, I know a lot of younger folks are not going to know what that is. There wasn't a single filing cabinet found in all of that rubble. 0 glass. Everything you would expect to find in a collapse, not any of it was there. And then you look at the effects of directed energy. What do you find? You see those same phenomena. You had weird things like cars flipped over, tires burned out, glass burned out, but the car wasn't anywhere near that. Yeah, we have some stuff. We have some space age stuff, folks, that would knock your socks off if you fully knew about it. And if you read Dr. Judy's book, you'll know what I'm talking about. So yeah, that's 9/11. Here we go. And because of what happened yesterday, almost nobody has said a word about it today, even though a bunch more evidence has come out. 2-star general, his name, son, you ever heard of that movie, The Men Who Stare at Goats?
Yeah. You and I went to go see it in the movie. I think you took me out of school to go see that.
Yeah, I might have, because it was based on the work of General Stubblebine. Albert Stubblebine and his wife. I would love to get her on the show, man. You talk about wicked smart. Anyway, and they ended up murdering him. That's another story altogether. But Bert Stubblebine, he was basically the guy who started the Stargate program in the military. He openly admitted, ain't no way, no how, that a missile hit the side of that Pentagon. Didn't happen. An impossibility. There is no way no Top Gun pilot was able to do what supposedly this guy who couldn't even fly a Cessna supposedly did a corkscrew turn and landed it right into the place Donald Rumsfeld was talking about the day before. A whole lot of coincidences, don't you think, son?
Yeah.
No wreckage.
Absolutely.
No wreckage, no debris, no nothing. And then the four times in history or 3 times in history where black boxes were not found, they've had, I mean, crying out loud, man, they've had jets flying to the side of mountains going Mach 1.5 or so, and they still found the black box. But on 9/11, just couldn't seem to find them. What about those passports? Can't find any of the human remains, but somehow we got passports that were forged in the heart of a dying star. Apparently, they were made out of the same stuff Thor's hammer's made out of because it survived. Or maybe it was made out of that stuff that's on Wolverine's skin, that adamantium. I mean, I don't know what it was, but apparently it could survive a fire blast, and through all that rubble, they find it. Look, I'm not going to keep going on, folks, but look, the reason this crap keeps happening, the reason it keeps unfolding is because we keep saying from Oklahoma City all the way forward, we will never forget, even though there's all the evidence in the world. Read the book written by Timothy McVeigh's lawyer called Others Unknown. I believe his name was Stephen Jones. Read that book and tell me if you still believe the official story of Oklahoma City. And this was the lawyer for Tim McVeigh. Okay. Talk to other, I mean, man, I could, from the top of my head, I can give you a whole list of resources you ought to check out. But the bottom line being is that the reason this stuff keeps unfolding is because everybody, it's too tragic. It's too horrible to talk about. It's too early. Okay, then when is it ever the right time? I mean, they're killing us left and right. And frankly, I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to wonder if we're ever going to wake up. For crying out loud, folks, they just openly murdered 1.8 million people with a jab they knew that would kill people. And still we don't even wake up. I mean, at what point... I'll be honest. History proves that only the crucible of really hard times cures this level of apathy and decadence. I can prove it. Pages and pages of history shows that when you have a population become this sloven, decadent, stupid, careless, don't care about human life at all unless it lands in their own backyard, that the only thing that wakes it up is mass starvation. That's why the tagline of this show is stay alert, stay alive, folks, because the gloves are off. We already can't broadcast what we say on here on my regular YouTube channel because we're on our second strike. Okay. They're doing anything. The last thing they want, the last thing the powers that shouldn't be want is a couple of brown people on here that aren't left. I'm not right. It's not red state. It's not blue state. It's a state against you. And because I don't pick a side is why they're coming down on me like a ton of bricks. Believe me, I could go over there and be just like that house nigga. What's his name? Wait, did I just say that? All right, I'm going to calm down a little bit.
Which one? Which one?
Yeah, Officer Tatum. Officer Tatum. Used to be a fan of the guy. Used to wear his shirts, but I'm burning every last one of them. I could be like him as long as I pick a side, left or right. They're going to leave me alone. But because I'm telling you that it is all of the above, they don't want you hearing that. They don't want anybody else hearing it. But folks, I'm screaming from the mountaintops. Man, is this what Jeremiah felt like? You're sitting there telling everybody, hey, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, and then lo and behold, it happens because you don't believe for a minute that it'll happen. You think it happened? Read The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire by Edward Gibbon. You know what? They become so Slavic and stupid. We're doing in over 200 years what it took the Roman Empire 2,000 years to do. I mean, if you go all the way back to the Etruscans, the kings, and then the Roman Republic, and then, of course, the empire. If you look at that, we're doing in about 200 years, or just over about 250 years. Well, it is about 250 years. We're doing in 250 years what it took them 2 millennia to do. Okay? Debase their currency. Okay, look at the overlap between Rome and here. We're doing the very same thing. Debase their currency. We got archaeological proof of it. You got soldiers everywhere. Okay, exactly like it was in the Roman Empire. Every single metric. There's an article you should read from LouRockwell.com. It's called Sumter's Rome. I know I've given you a lot of material out there, folks, but you can back it up if you have to. Sumter's Rome is what it's called. And he overlays, this is a college professor, he overlays point by point all of the critical things for a society to function and how it fell apart in Rome and how it was falling apart now. This article was written maybe 15 years ago, and it applies even more now today. They didn't have electronic food lines back in Rome, so things worked a little bit different. They had the Roman bread, which was their form of welfare, and where did they get it? It all came out of North Africa. Okay, so if you were Roman, you got your stipend of bread every day. Everything was cool. Well, you cut down that bread, things get a little bit dicey. Food, entertainment, and a reasonable expectation of security, folks. That's the cover that they all have us under right now. And they don't want you to know that it is all compromised at this time. We are on borrowed time. So, folks, I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying that these things are unfolding in the most awful way. And by and large, outside of this audience, folks, I don't know how many others care. Son, in your orbit and the people you come across, how many people are even conscious of it?
Well, thankfully, I don't live in Asheville, so a few more than maybe what you're encountering on a day-to-day basis. But most of the time, I mean, honestly, shoot, I'm trying to think. I don't even associate with stupid people. Like, I'm trying to think of who I have contact with on a day-to-day basis. Nobody's stupid, thankfully. But my local community and stuff like that, like, I don't really get out much. And when I do get out, I'm not really talking to a whole lot of people. I'm just running to get an errand or something like that. But I will say most of the consultations I do, most of the people I go out and do consultations for are very awake. Like if I had to give it a percentage, I would say maybe 5% are the ones that got their heads in the sand or are on the way to learning what's actually going on in this world.
Well, that's a better case in which I'm coming across. I mean, outside of just a handful of people around here, man, I don't know too many people. Most people are content to be NPCs that will, I mean, even got family members. You tell them, hey, you know what? You really ought not to put those things in your ear. My niece, I sat there and tested it right there in front of her. And then she turned, oh, okay. And then put them right back in her ear. I'm like, this is Kentucky frying your brain. And then because of it, it makes people less capable of thinking. I mean, we're going to go into way more of this stuff if we still manage to have a channel after a while. So I'm going to move on to other things. But folks, the main course is coming up here soon. So Redemption Shield, 10% off with promo code PERMA. I got my feet on this grounding mat right now. You know the deal. I'm G'd up from the feet up, and I mean grounded. Wave Watch, Billy 100, which I probably should have put it on the Solfeggio tone so that way I don't get his band off of here. I should have wore that thing while I'm doing it right now. But anyway, it's got 1,000 different settings on there for whatever may be ailing you. So Billy 100 will get you $100 off of that. Tomorrow and the next day, East Tennessee Homestead Alliance Festival. I'll be out there because it's close by and I can make that trip. So that's going to be in Knoxville, Tennessee. I don't know why. I mean, it's just right over the hill. So I don't know why I have struggled remembering that. But anyway, East Tennessee Homestead Alliance, that's going to be obviously the 12th and the 13th. Be there, be square. And so we ought to have a good time out there. So it'll be cool to see some other people that are awake or cuss out the ones that ain't. No, I'm not.
Also, I'll be at Midwest Preparedness Project 23rd through the 28th in September. I'll be teaching how to raise animals for free. That's coming up here in just a couple of weeks, actually. Oh crap, that's just a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, boy, I know. I don't even know where this whole summer went, man, for crying out loud. And then lastly, September 22nd, Campbell County Courthouse. Yeah, say that 10 times. At 10 a.m. in Rustburg, Virginia. The gentleman I spoke to last night that a lot of you probably didn't know about, with all the stuff that was going on yesterday. I don't know that I did an adequate job of getting it around, but most people are listening from the audio format anyway. I had Bryson Lipscomb from Triple Oaks Farm on here, and he was talking about what's happening with raw milk over there in Virginia and what the state is trying to do to him. It is cold-blooded, folks. So that's why I'm going to do everything I can. If I can possibly make it up September 22nd, I'm going to drive up there to Rustburg, Virginia, Campbell County Courthouse. It's going to be at 10 a.m. I think Joel Salatin's going to be there. There's going to be a lot of other people out there, folks. If we can, if you possibly can, try to make it, because he told me that there are people coming all the way from the Pacific Northwest. There's probably going to be some Canadians there. There's going to be a number of people. They're basically trying to shut down his operation because he's selling raw milk to people who want it. This is insanity, y'all. The founding fathers are rolling over in their graves right now. And like I said last night, this is why Dr. Benjamin Rush, he signed the Constitution. This is why he wanted to put an amendment into our Constitution protecting health rights, that you could put in your body anything you wanted or not put in your body anything you wanted, and the state could do nothing about it, because there was no precedence for it in all of history. Thomas Jefferson was bitterly opposed to it. He was like, no, it's unnecessary. That's never going to happen. Well, here it is unfolding right now. So the founding fathers are rolling over in their grave right now. You can go out there, go buy a half gallon of liquor and go kill yourself, but you can't go buy a half gallon of milk. I mean, this is insanity. Unless you play strictly within the lines that and then go back and listen to that interview, folks. I mean, I think Bryson knocked it out of the park. So it'll be the one prior to this if you're listening in an audio format, or if you're watching online, you can see it on the Permaculture Pimpcast channel. It was the one I did yesterday, folks. We have definitely got to rally around Bryson and what's going on there. All right. In lieu of the time constraints right now, I'm going to skip over the good news section. I had a couple of good ones here. I'm just going to skip over that. Eric is under the weather right now, so pray for him, folks. And we don't have anything from him, but remember, EMP Shield, $50 off with promo code PERMA. It's getting real out there, y'all. So you might want to think about whether it's a lightning strike on your house or whether the Russians get tired of the BS that we're doing over there in their neck of the woods and they say, okay, have a nice day. Here's your EMP. And you got to get home. I'm sure the people in this audience aren't going to go to the club if you still got the running vehicle and everybody else doesn't. So anyway, empshield.com, promo code PERMA will get you $50 off. All right, here's a topic, y'all. I've wanted to talk about this forever and a day. Situational awareness, and I'm going to pick on you ladies a little bit. Okay, I'm going to set this up a little bit. How do I do this? And I'm usually not concerned about offending anybody, but it means more to me to make sure that I communicate this in a way that it makes sense. There was that line in The Godfather, my favorite movie of all time, The Godfather. Well, it's actually tied with the 10 Commandments. And two very different movies, but they're my number one and number two, depending on the time of week. So there's this part where Vito Corleone says to Michael Corleone, he says, women and children can be careless, but men can't. And of course, they're mobsters. So, I mean, he's meaning it in the different light. But you know what? That movie, I think, was made in 1971. I think it's more true today than it's ever been. And I don't think anybody can be careless. Let me give you the examples of what I'm talking about. You got Michael Jaco. William was talking about that lady on the subway and how she got stabbed in the neck. Now, I would encourage everybody to go over to Michael Jaco on Rumble, because they basically scrubbed his YouTube channel. And just like all the other, let's call them coincidences regarding this stuff, regarding Charlie Kirk and 9/11 and all the other things, what if I told you the thing with the girl on the train is even more obvious, that things don't add up? And Michael Jaco, former Navy SEAL, former CIA, expert knife fighter, by the time he's done with that channel on Rumble, there is no way you're going to believe the official story of what happened there. And remember, with AI, folks, they can do just about anything. Like William said, well, if you look at it, it shows that guy stabbing her on the right side of her neck, but the blood was coming out the left. All the things that would happen, like I said, look, when you take an animal and you cut that, 9 times out of 10, the lights are out immediately. The blood pressure to the brain has got to be there. That is the quickest way to make the lights go out. And it's also the most humane way to do it when it comes to animals. What you saw in that video, I'm not going to go through all of it because that's really not the focus of this video. Whether it happened or whether it didn't, it goes, well, first of all, it goes into this race riots and left-right thing that they're trying to foment right now. You think it might be playing into that? And everything that should happen in an attack like that, I absolutely confirm and agree with Michael Jaco. Like I said, former Navy SEAL Team 6, by the way, not just your regular garden variety SEAL, but to get into SEAL Team 6, you got to be a cut above the regular SEAL. So Michael Jaco, I think, produces a video that beyond all doubt shows that it didn't go down that way. But where, and folks, let's say it did happen. I want to be very, very clear about this. I don't care if that girl walked on that thing buck naked, or any other woman for that matter. In no way does she ever deserve to be assaulted, raped, slapped around, mistreated, spoken to poorly. I don't care. I think it's Jacko. I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up. But anyway, you'll find it. I can't remember, doggone it. But anyway, Michael Jaco, Navy SEAL Team 6. If you got there, looking up his name, I'm sure you'll find it. Anyway, I don't care how that girl got on that train. In no way does it justify her being assaulted. I don't care the conditions. Like I said, she could have got on there naked. I don't care. I don't care if she got on there with her boobs hanging out or whatever. There is no excuse that justifies rape, assault, definitely not murder, and definitely what supposedly happened there. But it is a good teaching example because everything you do in terms of situational awareness, she did wrong. I'll come back to it here in a minute. Son, remember we were in New York City one time and your aunt, we were going down the street, completely oblivious to the fact that she was about to get mugged. Remember that?
I thought that was Philly.
No, it was Philadelphia.
Was it New York City?
You're right.
Okay.
That was Philly. Yeah. Remember, she's walking down the street. On the other side of the street, I glance back and notice she's about to be assaulted, and she is completely oblivious to it. Completely. She's looking around, making herself look like a tourist. Biggest mark in the world. Another example I can provide. There was a girl at a Walmart in a town that we used to live in called Bonner Springs back in Kansas. And they showed it. She gets, I'm sure you remember this, son.
Yeah.
She's leaving out of Walmart, broad daylight, getting into her vehicle, but she is preoccupied with her stupid phone. Some lunatic drags this girl, throws her into the car that he's next to because she has zero situational awareness, rapes her and murdered her, and I don't even think in that order, to be honest with you, and then dumped her body at the lake. Now, I'm using ladies for a reason here. My wife, this has happened more than once, but she was aware. She was leaving Walmart in Texarkana, Texas.
It was New Boston.
No, New Boston, Texas. That's right. 2 times that I'm aware of it, just that Walmart. I don't know what it is with Walmart, but it's just that one there. Had she not been aware, she may not be here. And folks, these are just the cliff notes I can offer right now. I've often said, and folks, please don't, ladies, don't take this the wrong way because I really want you to hear what I'm going to say. In most cases, a woman is 10 times more vulnerable than a man in most situations. But somehow, in most cases, because of these phones, they're 100 times more careless. A guy isn't just going to randomly rape me, okay? Or assault me or whatever else. And I can provide numerous other examples, folks. My best friend, on the phone with him yesterday, he tells me, all these different things were falling in place yesterday. He tells me, man, I nearly ran over 3 women on their phones walking through Walmart, or not Walmart, and Home Depot, leaving Home Depot. Okay? Ladies, I know guys are doing the very same thing, so don't be offended. The reason I'm pointing this out is when it comes to situational awareness, these phones have made all of us stupid, guys and gals, but it's way more consequential for women because when you're a predator in the wild, what are you looking for? You're looking for the lame one. You're looking for the easy one that you can pick off, make a meal out of, without a little bit of harm. And that's exactly what these human predators do. So when that girl got on that subway and she sat down with her back next to this knuckle dragging hood rat, the first thing she should have done, let's talk about, I mean, whether it did or didn't happen, it's a good teaching moment. For situational awareness, first of all, and people can take this whatever way they want, if I would have got on that train and I looked around and I looked in that door and I'm her and I see the people around me, if I could not situate myself to the back, I wouldn't even have got on there. Or walk on the train and be standing up, because you can stand up on the subway, facing what might possibly be my threat. I wouldn't have even gotten on there. No way would I leave my back. Folks, William, you tell everybody if I'm lying. We go to a restaurant, as long as you've been alive, my whole life, I'm a man. I always situate my back away from the entrance. I'm always, if at all possible, I am facing that entrance every single time. Before I even go in there to get sat down, I usually go in as I'm waiting. I go in and I use the bathroom. What am I doing? I'm looking for escape. I mean, folks, I'm not paranoid. This is just situational awareness. I do it without even thinking about it. I go in there, I go use the bathroom while we're waiting to be sat down, and I go through and I look, okay, something jumps off. Where are my exits out of here? Okay. Once they sit me down, I'm taking an audit of the people around me, and I'm making sure that if I have a say on the matter at all, I'm making sure my back is situated towards a solid object. If I can possibly, you don't always have that choice, but if nothing else, I'm always facing that entrance if I can possibly make it happen. Or I'm facing the person that, after having walked through there, I'm already kind of looking and making an audit of the threat. So as this lady entered that train, she should have said, I see this knuckle dragging hood rat over here. She should have been thinking about this. Didn't think nothing about it. She sat down, opened up her phone, and next thing you know, she's being stabbed in the freaking neck. It ain't her fault. But ladies, you have got to put these stupid phones down. So let's say you're leaving a Walmart or whatever. And let's say, first of all, if you can possibly avoid shopping before it's dark, please do. And if you have to, say, look, can somebody escort me to my automobile? If you have to. Because they are. Go ahead.
That's the issue, is that too many women are worried about, like, oh, this is going to be rude, or oh, this is going to be like inconvenient to somebody, or I'm going to be making a scene, or something like that. The moment that lady felt uncomfortable on the subway and that guy started, because he was like verbally accosting her first, apparently. The moment she felt uncomfortable, she should have got up and got somewhere else. Like, forget how rude it is. Emily, my wife, every single time I leave the house, I tell her, like, how many times do you shoot? All of them. You keep pulling until nothing else comes out of that gun. Like, I don't care how uncomfortable or how over dramatic or how overreacting you might be in a certain situation. I'd rather you overreact in a situation and get out of there than to underreact, pretend nothing is happening, or be worried about people's opinions of what's going on, and then have that happen to you. Like, that's what that girl should have done to begin with. As soon as she was uncomfortable, got up and left, caused a scene, made everybody as aware of it as possible, and left. That would have solved a lot.
Political correctness has crippled so many people. They will sit here, oh, I don't want to appear rude. Man, this is life on the line. And let's be honest. A lot of the people in that situation, I mean, first of all, you can just look at that guy right off the bat. The guy looks like the guy from The Predator. I mean, quite literally. First of all, ladies, don't ever, if at all possible, if you find yourself and there's no way out of that situation, or get to a car where there's more people that look like you, you're probably going to have a better chance. Stand up, face what could be your possible threat, because now all of a sudden they see you. Only a first-class coward would do that in the way that he did it, or just a freakazoid nut job. But at least she would have some kind of fighting chance. Also, when you're leaving these places, if I had a flipping nickel and you can ask your mom, son, she's tired of hearing me say it. I'm like, man, I can't believe how many women I see walking to their vehicles in the middle of a day looking at their phones. walking through a parking lot. And there was that other case. There was another time where if your mom were, she didn't even know where this guy came from. And she kept the cart between him and her and like, hey, you better step off, Jack. You're about to get pumped full of lead. Or if it's anywhere close to dusk. Ladies, there's a lot of you out there that may have children or husbands. If you're listening to this, insist on an escort to your vehicle from somebody that works there. They will not attack if you have an escort, even if it's another lady. The likelihood of them doing anything to you, you don't even think about pulling up that phone until you are in your vehicle. If you have to use it, if you are in your vehicle, doors locked, everything secure. You don't even think about looking at that phone until you get there. It just breaks my heart because I'm like, these are not difficult problems to solve. I can't even tell you how many murders are happening or rapes simply because people are unaware. Look, I hate to tell you this, but this is the world we live in right now. People are getting shot on the flipping stage. People are getting stabbed in the neck. I mean, this is I'm sure, like I said, there's a whole lot of red flags here and there, but I think we all get the point. I've been wanting to talk about this for a long, long time. I mean, a long time when it comes to situational awareness. Look, we walk around on these phones like zombies. Folks, guys, I mean, be the example. Because if you're going to tell your spouse or whoever else, hey, you need to stay off that phone, and here's the reasons why. Well, you can't be on yours either, right? Unless you're in a secure area. You got to be really, really careful about that. You got muggings, carjackings, riots. I mean, all because people lack situational awareness. They will always gravitate towards the person who's not paying attention. So it's not paranoid. It's proactive observation. I mean, call it that. I mean, maybe you want to call it something else, but I mean, you spot the danger before it even unfolds. You got a time advantage if you can do that. Think about it. You are a natural deterrent if they know that you might be onto them. They go into a less vulnerable or a more vulnerable target. I mean, it applies to everything. Crossing the streets, driving, even your farm work. I mean, farming is one of the most dangerous careers out there, especially when you, I mean, good night, man. You got the chance of, you're out there with chainsaws and tractors that could flip over. I mean, all kinds of crazy things. Keep your head up, even on public transportation. If you have to, get a book, situate yourself toward the back, or at least be reasonably secure. I mean, if you have no say on the matter, at least be reasonably certain that the person behind you is not quite a threat. I will stop and take the next train if it means that idiot was behind me. If there was or just stand up, whatever the case may be. Son, anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, situational. Like everybody wants to focus on like the weapons that they carry, whether it be now Kim Ivy. I'm not picking on you or anything like that, but like pepper spray or carrying a gun or like these different stabbing keychain things you can put on your keychain. Everybody wants to focus on that, but that's if you screwed up in 5 different other areas. The situational awareness is what like stops you from even getting in those situations. That's what avoids you from ever having to use any of those things. Like that's to say, like everybody, I think, at all possible, anybody who's like sane and stable should be carrying a weapon. Like I'm the least vulnerable person on this block, and I sleep with a gun. Like everybody needs to get comfortable with carrying a gun. I don't go anywhere without my gun. When I do consultations, I have my gun. I let the people know, like, hey, just so you're aware, I am carrying. But there were instances on consultations where in the back of a piece of property where the fence is down and the neighbors, Anatolian shepherds, come across that fence and start like kind of following us back. They were slightly aggressive at first, but then they got a little curious. But everybody needs to find a gun that is comfortable carrying. Find a good holster. I use the Fat Tack holster. Some good old boys up in Tennessee started making them. They had to figure out how to make carrying, comfortable. Get comfortable with carrying a weapon. Take it with you everywhere. Practice with it. And practice situational awareness. Try to keep track of who all's around you. Oh, is this person going up and down the same aisles as me? Oh, there's nothing in his cart? That seems curious. Like, pay attention while you're out. Situational awareness will avoid the whole situation.
I'm glad you brought that up, because honestly, when I'm in a public setting, here's honestly what I do these days. I am the one person you're going to find, whether I'm going in there getting my hair cut. It's funny because no matter where you go, everybody's doing the same thing. They're all looking down at their phones. What they don't realize a lot of times is I'm the one person not looking at his phone. If there's a magazine rack, I might have that. But usually when people are looking at their phones, I can hold a magazine out in front of me and still see everything that's going on. You see, when most people are using their phone, they're not holding it directly in front of them. They're usually looking down. So you're not using the full extent of your vision. Or I'm sitting there and I'm doing my memorization stuff. I mean, there's a reason why I do a lot of memorization training. I won't go into that right now, but I could be in a full crowd. I'm looking around left and right. I'm constantly scanning. What they don't realize is that in most cases, I'm just making it look like I'm more aware than I am. At the same time, in my head, I'm also going through some other training. There's other things that it's too long for me to explain it here, but honestly, I'm not looking up, but I'm not bored either. I made myself be comfortable by knowing that I'm reciting scripture in my mind or whatever, like I'm going through a certain psalm or whatever that I'm trying to memorize, and I can still do it and still scan the environment, or just they know, well, we got one that is paying attention. Maybe we won't do what we're going to do right now or what we're thinking about doing. But folks, we've got to be, I hate to even say it. I want to reiterate the fact that I don't care if it is a woman walking naked through the middle of New York City. She should never be assaulted. Well, first of all, hopefully you got better sense than that, but I think you get my point. It is never okay. I don't care, some fool saying, well, she was, no. Nobody ever, under any circumstances, ever deserves to be assaulted. But ladies, like I said, you're 10 times more vulnerable and 100 times more careless in situations like this. And these predators are looking for that, especially for a woman. Most men are not attacked in these types of things because these people are cowards. They're fundamentally cowards. They're going to go for the weaker vessel. And that's what they're shooting for. I'm not trying to put anybody out, but I'm trying to make it very, very clear that I don't care if you're an 80-year-old grandmother, if you are the one person who's paying attention, the person that might be thinking about flipping out in a scenario like that is going to probably think twice about it. So you got the phone zombies, the normalcy bias. That's another thing that gets a lot of people killed. You're thinking, oh, well, it can't happen here. That's called a normalcy bias. You think it can't happen here. Well, that's exactly what happened to that girl on that subway if it happened. That's a normalcy bias. Charlie Kirk went into that situation over there, not necessarily with a normalcy bias. I'm pretty sure he thought he had a pretty good security stance. Well, apparently not.
That's another thing.
In some cases, there's nothing you can do about it.
That's another thing, is letting your guard down because there's cops present or something like that.
Yes.
Cops' jobs aren't to protect you. They're not like security for you. I mean, they can be hired off duty for security, but they're not security for you. They're there to catch criminals. That means after the crime is done, that's what their job is to go do, is to go catch criminals. Just because cops are there doesn't necessarily mean it's a safe environment or that now everybody's protected.
Or they've come after the crime has already happened. So the common pitfalls, folks, just to kind of reiterate here, is going to be the phone zombies. We've covered that in high. I've covered that ad nauseum. Normalcy bias. It can't happen here. Tunnel vision. That's another way it can happen. You're so hyper focused on one thing over here. Like, for example, at the Charlie Kirk thing, if most people were in his shoes, you would probably think it'd be coming from the audience somewhere. And that may be where security was focused. Nobody was worried about a sniper that may have been 200 yards away, you see? So that's exactly, that. And like I said, it ain't his fault. And in some cases, if your number's up, man, it's what it is. But the point being, if you're hyper focused on one particular thing and then it comes from another place, you got to be worried about that. And then, of course, there's overconfidence. Thinking, like William said just a moment ago, just because you have that weapon, I'm calling it a weapon because I want you to be constantly aware that it will kill somebody, okay? You can call it a gun if you want, but I call it a weapon. So you may be overconfident because you have a weapon on you. Well, that's no reason to be. I'm armed too, but I'm still scanning the area as I'm there. I'm not now when I'm in crowds. I am more vigilant, no doubt about that. No matter the crowd, I am way more. We went to a Bigfoot thing a while ago, and because I live in such solitude and isolation, for me, it's a little bit of sensory overload. So I got to pull myself away every once in a while, like at a lot of these festivals. If there's a lot of people there, every once in a while, because it's sensory overload for me, because I'm just not used to being around a bunch of people at one time, that it's not that I don't want to be around them. I just got to escape every once in a while to just kind of reset. It's not for any other reason than for my own mental, wherewithal. So, I mean, play games with your kids. I mean, ever since William was a child, I mean, this was always my posture, always. Wasn't always armed necessarily, but I was always looking for a threat, especially when you got your kids around. I know guys should naturally do that, but ladies, I know a lot of you do it as well. Or you're thinking, well, we're at the playground, and no, you don't have that privilege anymore. You can't be careless. You don't get a second chance. All you need is some freak show, some freakazoid, just a minute without paying attention, and then they ran off with your kids. I mean, folks, stay alert, stay alive. I don't know what else to tell you, son. Anything else to add?
That's everything I got. Yeah, stay alert, stay alive for sure.
Yeah, so folks, I want you to just start with this one. Every time you enter a building, if you do nothing else, every time you enter a building, when you walk in there, okay, let's say you're going to go to a restaurant. Okay, I don't go to the kind of restaurants where you look up to order. I go to the ones where you look down to order. So, I mean, I try to eat. If I'm going to go somewhere to eat, I'm going to eat something that's halfway decent, okay? We don't eat out a lot, but when we do, it's going to be someplace that's halfway decent. You ain't going to catch me ordering out of McDonald's, okay? So, anyway, when you go in there, just try this little experiment. Just baby steps is all you got to do. First of all, like William said, make sure you're armed, number one. Number two, while you're waiting on your table, just do this little drill. As you're going to the bathroom, scan, see if there's anybody in there. It doesn't have to be that long. Just kind of get a feel for the bottom. As you're walking into the bathroom, go in there, look for the exits, and look for any weirdos. Actually, look for the exits on the way to the bathroom and look for the weirdos on the way out. Okay? And if you have any preference, always, if you're the person that's going to be that sheepdog in that group, make sure your back is facing towards the entrance. Because most people, despite what you see in Hollywood, if something stupid happens, it's always going to, not always, but 9 times out of 10, it's not going to come through a fire door. It's going to come from the front or the entrance or something like that. That's usually where most of the action happens. Just start with that. Take wide corners. Avoid going to a store at night if you can possibly help it. And if you have to, make absolutely positively sure that you have somebody escort you on the way out. Ask for the manager. Say, look, can you just escort me to my vehicle? When you get home, make sure things are well lit. If you have any concern at all about it, get a dog. Those guys they're valuable. They really are. They got senses you don't have, and they got sensitivities you don't have. Dogs can be very, very valuable. When you go in your house, especially if you haven't been there, let's say you go to work, you come home, you go in there. Every single day, man, when you go in there, you don't know if some fool's waiting on you. First of all, if you have a dog already there, they're going to kind of let you know, the posture of that dog is going to let you know if something's out of sorts. But, clear the house. It's good practice anyway. Go through there, clear the house. Find some fool in the closet, pump him up. Okay? Don't even ask any questions. Clear out the entire mag. So all 17.
Yep. Yep.
All 17, he got them. So, yeah. So, look, there's just a recap of everything, folks. Look, I know we hit you with a lot in this one. Yeah, it's 9/11, and welcome to the United States of amnesia. But you don't have to be any of those people.
on the 17, like all 17, there's a lot of people I've noticed on YouTube that are saying like, oh, you got to be aware of like what it's going to look like in court at the moment. You got to pay attention. All man, forget all of that. I would be sitting happy in prison knowing my family's safe. Happy.
Yeah.
Sing, oh, learn how to whistle.
Yeah.
Whistling a tune.
Yep. No, I'm with that. I mean, like that old, it's almost cliche now. I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. So that's exactly, I'm not saying you got to come out blasting every single time, folks. What I am saying is these things in most cases are 100% preventable. But sadly, we now live in a world where it pains me to even have these conversations. It really does. It drives me nuts that I even got to talk about this kind of thing. But this is the nature. This is a lot of what it looked like in Rome right before the fall. Okay, mayhem everywhere. You know, you couldn't do this, couldn't go down to the local butcher without somebody trying to steal your meat on the way back. And because inflation, despite what they're telling you right now, is not wonderful, people are going to lose their job as AI comes more and more online, and people are going to become more and more desperate, and they may just shake you down for the change in your pocket. As these things get worse, folks, you want to start practicing, because honestly, barring a miracle, I don't see how this thing doesn't go pretty crazy after a while. I ain't saying it's going to go Mad Max overnight, but it could. But you want to be ready, and you want to be practiced up. All right, I want to give a hat tip, as always, to Denise at Renewed Homestead. Go over there and subscribe, folks. We're doing some awesome stuff out there. I want to thank everybody in the chat tonight. And remember, check out Williams PDC. Until next time, y'all, stay alert.
Stay alive.
The knowledge rings, rivers that run deep, wisdom from Saul and permaculture dreams. Let the ideas unfold. I'm moving with the truth. Feeling nature's good. We got the answers, all we need to do. Listen to the earth, they got us through. Let's see the change, watch the world spin. From the smallest sprout to the harmony begin. In the cycle of life, where the magic's alive.